Viewers, the high-stakes three-day Mahamantan in the parliament is set to begin, and this will be on implementation of the 33% reservation for women. The Constitution Amendment will be tabled along with the Delimitation Bill 2026 and also the Union Territories Law Amendment Bill 2026. Now, sources suggest that the government will bring the women reservation and also the Delimitation Bill together and not separately. So that's the latest that we're getting to know as far as the Parliament session is concerned. And in fact, we're also getting in more breaking news at this point because government sources are telling Times Now that this Union Law Minister, in fact, Arjun Ram Meghwal, is set to move the Women's Reservation Amendment, and it is the Home Minister who will move the Union Territory Amendment Bill. The Home Minister will also be present, while Meghwal will move the Delimitation Bill too. If the opposition agrees, then there could be a debate on both the bills around 2:30 p.m. or 3 p.m. is when the Prime Minister is also expected to address. And as far as the voting is concerned, the Speaker will put the 131st Amendment Bill for voting, as it is the constitutional amendment which will need 2/3 of the majority. After that, the Union Territory Bill will be put up for voting too, and this will also need a 2/3 majority. Then, of course, the last bill to go for voting will be the Delimitation Bill. It needs simple majority to pass. So 3 bills, in fact, that will be tabled tomorrow or over the next 3 days. In fact, we have Senior Executive Editor Madhav Gopalakrishnan joining us on the broadcast. Madhav, give us the details of what we can expect in the Parliament tomorrow. We are learning that 3 of these bills will be brought in over the next few days. And of course, the fact that at least 2 of them will need 2/3 majority.
Well, absolutely. In fact, the three bills will be tabled together, as you rightly put it, Rohit, and also the fact that it will be the Union Law Minister, Arjun Ram Meghwal, who will be moving the Women's Reservation or the 131st Amendment Bill. It will be the Home Minister who will be moving the Union Territory Amendment Bill, and he will, of course, have to be present in House for that. And we will also see at the same time Arjun Ram Meghwal, the Union Law Minister, moving the Delimitation Bill as well. Now, the question is on what the opposition's approach will be. Remember that they have maintained that they are going to oppose these bills because they believe that it is not being done in a democratic manner, and also the points that have been raised about what they are calling injustice to the southern states, those issues, of course, have been articulated by opposition. However, if the opposition does agree, then the government says that there would be a debate on all the 3 of these bills, and later around 2:30 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon, the Prime Minister is expected to address the House. Now, the voting, of course, that is expected on the 131st Amendment Bill for voting. It's a constitutional amendment bill. It needs 2/3 of majority. Not entirely clear at the moment where the government will be able to cobble up those numbers from, given that the 2/3 number at the moment, of course, does not seem to be very clearly with the government. But what is very clear is that after the Union Territory Bill is put up for voting, that also would need 2/3 majority, and therefore the final bill that will go for voting will be delimitation, which only needs a simple majority. So 2 of the 3 bills, which are constitutional amendments, will require that mandatory 2/3 of majority. Remains to be seen how the government is able to get those numbers and actually pass them into laws inside the House tomorrow.
Absolutely. So it remains to be seen now what will transpire in the Parliament. Thank you, Madhav, for joining us on the broadcast and giving us those details. And speaking of the bills that you were just talking about, Madhav, in fact, let's take you through the details. Let's take our viewers through the details of the 3 bills that will have to be passed tomorrow if the government wants to make them a law. One, of course, is the Delimitation Bill. This will need a simple majority, and NDA has about 292 MPs in the Parliament. 271 votes in favor of this bill is what they will need to get it passed. Then, of course, you have the Nari, Shakti, Vandan, Adiniyam Constitution Amendment Bill. Now, this bill would require at least 209, Lok Sabha, in fact, the government would need 360 votes in favor because they need 2/3 majority. At the moment, the government has only 292 MPs, which means they will need a little more than 60 MPs, apart from the 292 who are currently part of the government, to ensure that this bill is passed. As far as the Rajya Sabha is concerned, the government is expected to have somewhere around 138 MPs, and that would mean that they would still fall short of roughly a little over 20 MPs, because 163 is the number that they would need in the Rajya Sabha if they get a 2/3 majority to pass the Nari, Shakti, Vandan, Adiniyam bill. Then, of course, this is going to be the major concern for the government. But even before the sitting has started, the spotlight has now dramatically shifted solely to the Delimitation Bill. Because according to the draft of the bill that was tabled today, the proposal is to expand the Lok Sabha from 543 seats to as many as 850 seats. The logic is to redraw constituencies and then roll out reservation to bring over 270 women MPs into the parliament by 2029. Now, government sources also insist that the 850 figure is only the upper limit, and this is not the final number, with the Delimitation Commission expected to decide the exact contours of the entire delimitation process. Now, the centre is assuring that the move is absolutely balanced, and this will take care of the aspirations of every community, every region, and every state.
Some people tried to mislead in the past by saying that the southern states will lose out due to their successful family planning. The numbers have risen proportionately. So no state is losing. So every region, every state is fairly distributed and given the provision of increase in the numbers of seats.
I feel this proposed bill is absolutely balanced, well thought of, and which will take care of the aspiration of every region, every state. So there's no scope for any criticism.